The drug scandal that destroyed Barry Bonds' legacy is still one of the most controversial chapters in MLB history. The BALCO case didn't just damage his name, it pulled down the reputation of several other big players too. But since Bonds was at the very top of the game back then, the spotlight hit him the hardest. His records, his legacy, and even his image with fans took a serious hit. So let's get into it and see what really happened, and why this scandal will forever be linked to Barry Bonds. So let's roll the clock all the way back to 2003. That's when Barry Bonds suddenly found himself at the center of one of the biggest scandals baseball had ever seen, the BALCO case. BALCO, short for Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative, was a company that had been giving athletes a powerful edge. They were marketing a steroid called tetrahydrogestrinone, better known as the Clear. The problem? At the time, it was completely undetectable by drug tests. For Bonds, this connection wasn't just bad press. It became a full-blown legal nightmare. By late 2003, he was being investigated by a federal grand jury, with questions swirling around whether he had knowingly used performance-enhancing drugs. And by November of 2007, those questions led to something far more serious. Bonds was indicted on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice. Prosecutors accused him of lying under oath about his alleged steroid use. A big part of the story centered around Greg Anderson, Bonds' personal trainer since the year 2000. Anderson was one of the people indicted in the scandal. He was accused of supplying steroids to a number of high-profile athletes, including Major League Baseball players. Naturally, once Anderson's name was tied to BALCO, the spotlight immediately swung toward Bonds. After all, here was one of the greatest players in baseball history, suddenly linked to a scandal about illegal performance enhancers. Bonds, for his part, insisted he was innocent. He claimed his bigger body, his new strength, and his jaw-dropping power at the plate were all the result of hard work, strict dieting, bodybuilding, and legal supplements. Still, the questions kept coming. During his grand jury testimony in December 2003, Bonds admitted that he had used a clear substance and a cream, both of which he had gotten from Anderson. But here's where it got tricky. Bonds said that Anderson told him these were harmless products, one being flaxseed oil and the other an arthritis balm. In other words, Bonds claimed he had no idea these products might have been steroids. Later reports from leaked testimony suggested that Bonds might have admitted to using the cream and the clear, but that he insisted he did so unknowingly. By 2005, the case had grown even bigger. 4 men connected to BALCO, including Anderson, struck deals with federal prosecutors. These deals kept them from having to reveal the names of athletes who may have used the banned drugs. This left even more uncertainty in the air, but the government wasn't letting Bonds off the hook. In November 2007, a federal grand jury officially indicted him on 4 counts of perjury and 1 count of obstruction of justice. The charges all stem from whether or not he had lied during his earlier testimony about steroid use. The case dragged on, and it wasn't without its dramatic moments. In February 2008, prosecutors made a big blunder when a typo in their court papers seemed to suggest that Bonds had tested positive for steroids in November 2001, just a month after his record-breaking 73rd home run season. The media exploded with the story, but soon after, it was revealed to be a mistake. The reference was supposed to be to a 2000 test that had already been reported. Even though it was just a typo, the frenzy only added to the circus atmosphere around the whole case. The trial itself took years to finally get started. Originally set for March 2009, it was delayed multiple times due to legal back and forth between the defense and prosecution. Finally, in March 2011, Bonds' trial began in the Northern District of California, overseen by Judge Susan Ilston. On April 13, 2011, the verdict came in, but it wasn't the sweeping conviction some expected. Bonds was found guilty of 1 count of obstruction of justice. The jury decided that when Bonds gave an evasive answer during his testimony, it was enough to qualify as obstruction. However, he was not convicted on the more serious perjury charges. Later that December, he was sentenced. 30 days of house arrest, 2 years of probation, and 250 hours of community service. But the story didn't end there. Bonds appealed his conviction, taking it to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. In 2013, a 3-judge panel upheld the conviction. For a while, it looked like Bonds would have to live with the label of being a convicted felon. But in 2015, his case was reheard by the full court. In a 10-1 decision, the judges overturned his conviction. Legally, Bonds was cleared. Still, even with that legal victory, the damage was already done. By then, the BALCO scandal had cemented itself in baseball history, and Barry Bonds' name was tied to it forever. His records, his Hall of Fame chances, and his public image were all scarred by years of controversy. Even though the conviction was overturned, the shadow of BALCO never truly left him. Now that we've unpacked the BALCO scandal and how it pulled Barry Bonds into years of controversy, it's only fair to step back and look at the other side of the story, his career on the field. Because before the headlines in the courtrooms, Bonds was leaving his mark on baseball in ways few players ever had. To truly understand why this scandal hit so hard, we need to recall just how significant an impact he had on the game itself. Barry Bonds' baseball journey began with a twist. The son of major leaguer Bobby Bonds and the godson of Willie Mays, Barry was drafted out of high school by the San Francisco Giants in 1982, but he didn't sign. Instead, he chose to sharpen his skills at Arizona State University, where he became a standout player. In 1985, he entered the MLB draft again and was picked 6th overall by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He made his major league debut in 1986 with the Pirates and quickly proved he was more than just another hitter. Over the next 7 seasons, he developed into a complete player, one who could hit for power and average, run the bases with speed, and cover ground in the outfield. By 1990, Bonds had grown into a true star, winning his first of what would become 7 National League MVP awards. He added 2 more with the Pirates in 1992 and 1993, while also helping lead the team to multiple playoff appearances. In 1993, a new chapter began when Bonds signed a massive free agent deal with the San Francisco Giants. Right away, he proved his worth by earning another MVP in his first season with the team. Through the mid to late 90s, Bonds continued to elevate his game, becoming one of the rare 5-tool players who could truly do it all. He joined the exclusive 40-40 club, hitting 40 home runs and stealing 40 bases in the same season, and became the first player ever to reach both 300 home runs and Trey-Stowe steals. Eventually, he even pushed that milestone to 400, something no one else had accomplished. The early 2000s saw Bonds enter the most dominant stretch of his career. From 2001 to 2004, he rewrote offensive records and became one of the most feared hitters in the history of the sport. In 2001, he hit 73 home runs, breaking the single-season record. In the following seasons, he shattered marks for on-base percentage, slugging, and intentional walks. He won batting titles, set new standards for reaching base, and claimed MVP awards in 4 straight years, something no player before or since has ever matched. Even beyond his hitting, Bonds' all-around play stood out. He won 8 Gold Gloves during his career, proving he was just as valuable in the field. On the bases, he stole over 500 bases in total, making him the only player in history with both 500 home runs and 500 steals, a combination of power and speed that defined his greatness. As his career wound down, Bonds continued adding to his legacy. On August 7, 2007, he broke Hank Aaron's all-time home run record by hitting his 756th. He eventually raised that number to 762, the record he still holds today. That same year, however, his time in baseball came to an end. The Giants chose not to re-sign him, and with no other teams offering a contract, his 22-year career was effectively over. In the end, Barry Bonds' professional career was a story of steady growth, unmatched dominance, and record-breaking achievements. From his early days as a young star in Pittsburgh to his historic run with the Giants, he collected 7 MVP awards, 14 All-Star selections, and became one of the most complete players the game has ever seen. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.